Golden Axe, another side-scrolling beat-em-up for the Sega Mega Drive, so be warned I'm going to be drawing a lot of comparisons with Streets of Rage 2, the first of which is that Streets of Rage 2 is just better. Golden Axe suffers from a lack of depth. The three characters play pretty much exactly the same, each having the same limited number of moves available. All of them can attack, jump, run, or perform a combination of the three, and that's about it. I know what I'm doing to this guy looks impressive, but really I'm just mashing one button over and over again. The main difference between the characters is how strong their magic attacks are, with the dwarves being the weakest and the Valkyries being the strongest. I imagine that in the interest of balance the dwarf probably has more health, but if it does then it's not really noticeable. Health in Golden Axe is measured in blue boxes at the bottom of the screen, which means it's impossible to know how much damage you're taking from individual hits. Another problem is that the gameplay just isn't very satisfying, which isn't helped by the rather rubbish sound effects. I don't know about you, but to me this does not sound like a blade cleaving through flesh. As I've said before, for side-scrolling brawlers, good feeling gameplay is absolutely essential and Golden Axe is sadly lacking. Speaking of sound, the music is actually quite good, if nothing special. I especially like the theme over the final level. The thing I probably hate the most is that once you're more than half a screen away from an enemy, they will always run at you and do a shoulder check, and it's hard to get out of the way because of the slow animations. You also have to get used to the fact that you can't jump over these attacks. You generally have to stay close to enemies on screen, which makes it more likely that you'll get surrounded and have your arse kicked, especially as, unlike in Streets of Rage, you can't throw enemies to deal with others coming up from behind. Where in Streets of Rage you could just use your super move to get out of such situations, in Golden Axe you have to use all of the magic you've collected at once, so you only get one lifeline. After it's gone, you just have to stand there and take it like a man. Or a woman. Or a dwarf. Also, as the enemies don't have health gauges, it's impossible to tell how much effect your magic attacks are having, and means that I tend to save them for boss fights. Even then, I really don't know how much good they do. Whilst the design is clearly trying to make the levels interesting by having some of them on the backs of giant animals, for the most part they're pretty flat and boring with no interactive objects to break. In fact, the whole game doesn't look that good, full of muted colours and jerky animation. I've played the Master System version, and sadly there isn't much difference between the two. I do like some things about the game, however. Running and barging into enemies is pretty fun, although it quickly becomes boring when you have to do it continuously against the stronger enemies. The ability to ride fire-breathing dragons, and a creature apparently called the Chicken Leg, is also a nice addition, even if the tackle-happy bad guys make it hard to hang on to your mount for any extended length of time. Also, beating up gnomes a quarter of your size to get pickups never stops being funny. Ever. I also love tricking the stupid AI into walking off cliffs. As you'd expect, the game is much better in two-player co-op, but like Streets of Rage it does have the problem of you accidentally hitting each other all the time. The difference is that the bad sound and jerky animation makes it nowhere near as funny when it happens. So is Golden Axe worth your 800 Wii points? No. No it isn't. It's a slow, frustrating button masher of a game, and given a choice between this and Streets of Rage 2 there really is no contest.